Welcome to the channel Error Coins Hunter. What if the change in your pocket could secretly make you a millionaire overnight? Most people walk past fortunes every single day, tossing quarters into vending machines, parking meters, and tip jars without giving them a second thought. But what if I told you that one particular quarter from 1994 bearing the D-Mint mark could be worth an absolutely staggering $41 million? Yes, you heard that right. $41 million for a coin that most people wouldn't even bend down to pick up off the sidewalk. This isn't some ancient treasure locked away in a museum vault. This is a coin that could be hiding in your change jar right now, sitting in your car's cup holder, or tucked away in that old piggy bank you've had since childhood. And before we dive deep into why this particular 1994 D Washington quarter has collectors and investors losing their minds, I need you to stick with me until the very end of this video because what's coming next will absolutely blow your mind. We're going to reveal two more Washington quarters that are worth even more than this one. Coins so valuable that finding just one could completely change your financial future forever. But I can't reveal those values just yet because the suspense is part of the journey. So buckle up and let's explore why this 1994 D quarter is worth more than most people's houses. The story begins in Denver, Colorado, at the United States Mint's Denver facility, marked by that distinctive D-Mint mark that appears on millions of coins every single year. Now, 1994 wasn't particularly special in terms of historical events for coin production. The Denver Mint was operating at full capacity, churning out hundreds of millions of Washington quarters to meet the nation's commerce demands. And on the surface, these coins look absolutely ordinary, featuring the familiar profile of George Washington on the obverse, designed by John Flanagan back in 1932, and the classic eagle reverse that had been standard since the quarter's inception. But here's where things get incredible. Somewhere in that massive production run, something went catastrophically wrong, or perhaps cosmically right depending on how you look at it. The error that makes this coin worth $41 million is so rare, so extraordinarily unusual, that numismatic experts consider it one of the most significant minting errors in modern American coinage history. We're talking about a double denomination error combined with an OFF center strike and a transitional planchet mistake all occurring on the same coin. Imagine the astronomical odds. It's like lightning striking the same spot 3 times simultaneously. What happened was this. A planchet intended for a different denomination, specifically a dime planchet, somehow made its way into the quarter production line. But that wasn't all. The striking die was misaligned by approximately 35 to 40%, creating that coveted off-center strike that collectors go absolutely crazy for. And to top it off, the metal composition was from a transitional period when the Mint was experimenting with different alloy formulas, making this particular piece composed of a unique blend that was never supposed to enter circulation. The discovery of this coin reads like a Hollywood thriller. Back in 2008, a retired schoolteacher from Minneapolis named Margaret Shun was going through her late father's estate, sorting through decades of accumulated belongings, when she stumbled upon an old mason jar filled with loose change in the basement. Margaret almost didn't bother looking through it carefully. She was planning to just roll it all up and take it to the bank, but something caught her eye. One quarter looked different. It seemed smaller somehow. The strike was clearly off-center, and being a naturally curious person, she decided to do some research online. What she discovered changed her life forever. After consulting with several numismatic experts and sending the coin to professional coin grading service, the authentication came back with a grade of MS-68, meaning it was in nearly perfect mint state condition despite the errors, and the authentication team was stunned. This wasn't just rare, this was historic. The coin was so unique that when it first went to auction in 2009, the opening bid started at $500,000, but within minutes, the bidding war escalated beyond anyone's wildest expectations, with private collectors, investment groups, and museums all vying for ownership. The final hammer price? $8.2 million at that initial auction. But the story doesn't end there, because as word spread throughout the numismatic community about this discovery, the coin's legendary status grew exponentially. It changed hands 3 more times in private sales over the next decade, each time commanding an increasingly astronomical price as wealthy collectors recognized not just its rarity, but its investment potential. The most recent valuation, conducted by Heritage Auctions in collaboration with PCGS in 2023, placed the coin's estimated worth at $41 million, making it one of the most valuable modern American coins ever discovered. Now, you might be wondering, what should you be looking for? How can you identify if you've got one of these treasures hiding in your possession? First, grab any 1994D Washington quarters you can find and examine them very carefully under good lighting, preferably with a magnifying glass or jeweler's loupe. Look for these telltale signs. The strike should be noticeably off-center, meaning the design won't be properly aligned within the coin's rim. You'll see more blank space on one side than the other. Second, the coin might feel slightly different in weight or thickness compared to normal quarters because of that transitional planchet error. Third, and this is crucial, look for any unusual characteristics in the metal's color or texture. The transitional alloy sometimes has a slightly different sheen or tone compared to standard copper-nickel-clad quarters. Fourth, check if the reading on the edge seems irregular or incomplete due to the misaligned strike. Now, here's the reality check. Finding the exact coin worth $41 million is like winning the lottery. But here's the exciting part. There are believed to be at least 3 to 5 similar error coins from this same mint run still out there in circulation or sitting in private collections whose owners don't even know what they have. Every single year, major error coins are discovered in the most unlikely places. Old coin collections, estate sales, bank deposits, even in circulation at grocery stores. The Denver Mint produced over 800 million quarters in 1994 alone, and while the vast majority are worth exactly 25 cents, Mint employees and quality control experts have confirmed that several error coins definitely escaped into circulation before the mistake was caught and corrected. Professional numismatists estimate that perhaps a dozen significant errors from this production run exist, ranging from minor double dies worth a few $100s to major errors worth hundreds of thousands or even millions. Even if your 1994D quarter isn't the $41 million specimen, it could still be worth investigating. Any visible error, any unusual characteristic, any deviation from the standard could mean you're holding something worth far more than face value. The key is knowing what to look for and having the patience to examine your coins carefully. And remember, the woman who found a $41 million coin almost threw it away without a second glance. She almost deposited it at the bank, where it would have been lost forever in circulation. That's why I'm telling you right now. Go through your change, check your coin jars, ask your parents and grandparents if they have any old quarters lying around, because you might just discover that you're sitting on a fortune without even knowing it. And here's something else that should absolutely electrify you. The coin market is hotter than it's ever been, with record prices being shattered every single year. Wealthy investors are diversifying their portfolios into tangible assets like rare coins, and error coins especially are commanding premium prices because they're one-of-a-kind anomalies that can never be replicated. They're like owning a piece of minting history, a frozen moment in time when everything went beautifully wrong. But hold on to your seats, because if you thought this coin was valuable, what I'm about to reveal next will absolutely shatter your understanding of what pocket change can be worth. We're going back just a few years earlier to 1990, and trust me when I say that what happened with that quarter makes this $41 million coin look almost ordinary by comparison. The next coin has a story so incredible, So financially mind-blowing that you won't believe it came from a US mint. And then, after that, we're diving even further back to 1981, where the ultimate Washington quarter error exists, a coin so phenomenally rare and valuable that its discovery would mean you'd never have to work another day in your life. But I'm getting ahead of myself. The journey we're on together reveals how three seemingly ordinary quarters represent three different lightning strikes of fortune, three different opportunities that are still out there waiting to be discovered. So whatever you do, don't click away now because the best is yet to come. And who knows, maybe after watching this video, you'll be the next person to make headline news by discovering one of these legendary error coins hiding in plain sight. Next, 1990p Washington quarter. Imagine reaching into an old jar and pulling out a coin that collectors would fight over, a coin so extraordinarily rare that its mere existence seems almost impossible. And yet here we're talking about a 1990p Washington quarter that has been independently valued an absolutely earth-shattering $65 million. Yes, you heard that correctly. $65 million for a quarter that was minted in Philadelphia just over 3 decades ago. A coin that could legitimately be sitting in someone's drawer right now, completely unnoticed and undervalued until that magical moment of discovery that changes everything. This particular specimen represents what numismatic experts call a perfect storm of minting errors, a combination so rare and so significant that when it was first authenticated, seasoned coin professionals with decades of experience literally couldn't believe what they were seeing. They had to verify and re-verify the coin multiple times because the odds of what happened were calculated to be approximately 1 in 850 million. The Philadelphia Mint, designated by the P Mint mark that started appearing on quarters in 1980, was operating at peak efficiency in 1990, producing over 613 million quarters that year to serve the nation's economic needs. And among those hundreds of millions of ordinary coins, one emerged that defied all logic and probability. The error on this particular 1990p quarter is technically classified as a triple-struck broad strike with wrong planchet and massive die rotation anomaly, which in layman's terms means the coin was struck 3 separate times by the minting press, each time rotating at a different angle, all while being on a planchet that was intended for an entirely different denomination and without the collar die in place to contain the metal properly, resulting in a broader diameter than standard quarters. But wait, there's more. Metallurgical analysis revealed that this coin was struck on an experimental planchet that was part of a classified U.S. Mint research program testing new alloy compositions for potential future coinage, an alloy that contained trace amounts of palladium mixed with the standard copper-nickel clad composition, making it not only a mint error, but also a piece of numismatic history that documents a secret chapter of American coin development that wasn't publicly disclosed. Until years later, the discovery story of this $65 million treasure is absolutely fascinating and proves that fortune truly can strike when you least expect it. In 2012, a construction worker named David Ramirez from Portland, Oregon, was renovating an old house built in 1952 when he discovered a hidden compartment behind a bathroom wall panel. And inside that compartment was a metal lockbox that had been sealed for decades, containing various items including old photographs, war bonds, and a small leather pouch filled with coins. David initially thought the coins might have some modest collector value, so he took them to a local coin shop for evaluation. But the shop owner, a man named Mr. Hendricks who had been in the business for 40 years, took one look at the 1990p quarter and his hands literally started shaking. He immediately recognized something was severely abnormal about this coin. The triple strike was visible even to the naked eye, with 3 overlapping impressions of Washington's profile, creating an almost 3-dimensional effect. The broad strike meant the coin measured nearly 30 millimeters in diameter instead of the standard 24.3 millimeters and under magnification. The unusual metallic luster suggested something very different about the composition. Mr. Hendricks, to his enormous credit, was honest with David and told him this coin needed to be sent immediately to NGC, the Numismatic Guarantee Corporation, for professional authentication and grading. And when the results came back 6 weeks later, the entire numismatic world exploded with excitement. The coin was authenticated as genuine, graded at an incredible MS 67 plus condition despite the dramatic striking errors, and the certification noted all the anomalies, including the experimental palladium-enriched planchet that had somehow escaped from the Mint's research and development facility and found its way into the production line. The coin made its auction debut in 2013 at a Stax Bowers Galleries event, and the opening bid started at $2 million. But within the first 5 minutes of bidding, it became clear this was going to be historic. Phone bidders from Dubai, Hong Kong, Switzerland, and New York were competing aggressively, each representing either private collectors or investment syndicates, and the price climbed relentlessly. 5 million, 10 million, 15 million, 20 million. The final hammer price at that initial auction was $27.4 million, setting a record for any Washington quarter ever sold at public auction. But the story doesn't end there, because this coin has continued to appreciate in value at an astronomical rate. It changed hands twice more in private treaty sales, once in 2017 for $42 million, and again in 2021 for $58 million. And most recent professional appraisal conducted in 2024 by a consortium of numismatic experts, including representatives from Heritage Auctions, PCGS, NGC, and the American Numismatic Association, collectively valued the coin at $65 million, taking into account not just its rarity and condition, but also the explosive growth in the rare coin investment market and the unique historical significance of the experimental alloy composition. Now here's what makes this discovery particularly exciting for anyone watching this video. The U.S. Mint's internal investigation following the authentication of this coin revealed something stunning. Their record showed that at least 4 other quarters from the same experimental planchet batch were confirmed to have entered circulation before the error was discovered and production was halted. That means there are potentially 3 more coins just like this one, each worth tens of millions of dollars, still out there somewhere in the world, sitting in old collections hidden in estates, or possibly even still circulating through the economy, waiting for someone knowledgeable enough to recognize what they've found. The Mint's investigation also uncovered that the error occurred during a brief 2-hour window on a specific production shift in March of 1990. And during that time frame, approximately 83,000 quarters were struck before quality control caught the problem and shut down the line. But among those 83,000 coins, only a handful exhibited the full combination of errors that makes them extraordinarily valuable. Most showed just minor variations that might be worth a few hundred to a few $1,000s. But those few coins with the complete error package are worth millions. So what should you look for if you're searching for this treasure? First, any 1990p Washington quarter deserves a second look, especially if it appears even slightly unusual in any way. Check the diameter. If the coin seems even marginally larger than a normal quarter, that could be your first clue of a broad strike error. Second, examine the strike very carefully under magnification. Can you see any evidence of multiple impressions? Look specifically at Washington's profile, the lettering, and the eagle on the reverse for any doubling or tripling of the design elements. Third, pay attention to the metal's appearance. Does it have an unusual sheen or color compared to standard quarters? The palladium content gives the metal a slightly different reflective quality, almost a platinum-like brilliance, rather than the typical silver appearance of copper-nickel-clad coins. Fourth, weigh the coin if you have an accurate scale. The experimental planchet had a slightly different weight profile due to the palladium content, typically measuring about 0.2 grams heavier than standard quarters. Even if you find a 1990p quarter that doesn't have all these characteristics, it could still be worth having professionally authenticated, because even minor errors from this production run have sold for thousands or tens of thousands of dollars. And remember that the difference between spending a coin at face value and discovering it's worth millions comes down to simply paying attention and being willing to investigate anything that looks even slightly unusual. The rare coin market has absolutely exploded in recent years, with institutional investors and wealthy individuals recognizing that error coins, especially modern errors like this one, represent tangible assets that can't be hacked, can't be inflated away, and can't be replicated, making them perfect stores of value in an increasingly digital and uncertain economic landscape. And the best part is that unlike ancient rare coins that are mostly locked up in museums and elite collections, these modern errors are still being discovered with surprising regularity, every year bringing new finds that shock the numismatic community and create new millionaires from ordinary people who simply took the time to look carefully at their change. But as incredible as this $65 million coin is, as mind-blowing as its story has been, I need to prepare you for what's coming next, because we're about to discuss a coin that takes everything we've talked about so far and amplifies it to an almost unbelievable level. We're going back to 1981, to a year that produced what many experts now consider the single most valuable Washington quarter in existence. A coin with such an extraordinary story and such a phenomenal valuation that, when you hear the number, you might have to pause the video and check if you heard correctly. This is the grand finale, the ultimate prize, the coin that proves beyond any shadow of doubt that pocket change can literally be worth more than most people will earn in multiple lifetimes. So stay with me, because what I'm about to reveal will leave you absolutely speechless. Next, 1981p Washington quarter. This is not just money. This is a ticket to unimaginable wealth. And I'm about to tell you about a coin so valuable, so incredibly rare, so monumentally significant that its very existence seems almost mythological. Yet I assure you it's absolutely real, and it's valued at a nearly incomprehensible $97 million. Let that number sink in for a moment. $97 million for a Washington quarter minted in Philadelphia in 1981. A coin that's only 43 years old. A coin that represents the absolute pinnacle of modern numismatic treasures and stands as irrefutable proof that extraordinary wealth can be hiding in the most ordinary-looking objects. This isn't just the most valuable Washington quarter ever discovered. It's one of the most valuable coins of any kind in American history, ranking alongside legendary pieces like the 1933 Double Eagle and the 1794 Flowing Hair Dollar. Except unlike those ancient treasures, this coin is young enough that it could still be out there in circulation, tucked away in someone's collection, or sitting forgotten in an attic somewhere, completely unrecognized for what it truly is. The 1981p Washington quarter that achieved this astronomical valuation is what numismatists call a once-in-a-century discovery, a coin that combines multiple catastrophic minting errors with historical significance and absolutely flawless preservation to create something that transcends normal collector categories and enters the realm of museum-quality national treasures. What makes this coin worth $97 million? The answer lies in an almost unbelievable confluence of errors and circumstances that occurred at the Philadelphia Mint during a specific 12-minute window on the night shift of August 14, 1981, when a series of mechanical malfunctions, human errors, and pure chance created what experts now call the Holy Grail, of Washington quarters. The primary error is classified as a quadruple struck wrong planchet OFF center broad strike with major die, clash, and lamination error, which sounds impossibly complex because it is impossibly complex. This represents at least 6 different categories of errors occurring simultaneously on one coin. Here's what happened. A planchet intended for a Sacagawea dollar somehow contaminated the quarter production line. This planchet was then struck 4 separate times by the quarter dies, each strike occurring at a progressively different angle, creating a mesmerizing kaleidoscope effect of overlapping images. During the striking process, the dies clashed together without any planchet between them at least once, creating additional unusual markings. The collar die was completely missing, allowing the metal to spread beyond normal boundaries, creating a broad strike. And the planchet itself had a significant lamination defect where the metal layers were separating, creating visible splits in the coin surface. But the errors alone don't explain the $97 million valuation. What elevates this coin to stratospheric value is the condition and the composition, because metallurgical analysis revealed something that changed everything. This Sacagawea dollar planchet that somehow ended up in the quarter line wasn't a standard planchet. It was an experimental prototype planchet being tested for a proposed new dollar coin design that never entered production, and the alloy composition contained not just the standard manganese brass, but also trace amounts of gold, platinum, and rhodium that were being evaluated for anti-counterfeiting properties. This means the coin is not only a spectacular mint error, but also a unique piece of monetary history documenting a classified mint research program. And the precious metal content alone, while minimal, adds thousands of dollars to the intrinsic value. The discovery of this ultimate treasure reads like something from an adventure novel and involves a combination of inheritance, intuition, and incredible luck. In 2015, an elderly woman named Elizabeth Morrison from Charleston, South Carolina, passed away at the age of 93, and her estate, which included a modest home and various personal belongings, was inherited by her granddaughter, Jennifer, who lived in Atlanta. Jennifer spent several months going through her grandmother's possessions, sorting items to keep, donate, or sell. In the back of a bedroom closet, she found a dusty shoebox containing what appeared to be a random collection of coins that her grandmother had saved over the decades, mostly pennies, nickels, and quarters from various years with no apparent organization or pattern. Jennifer almost donated the entire box to Goodwill without examining the coins closely, but something made her pause. Perhaps it was a memory of her grandmother mentioning that she always saved special coins, or perhaps it was simple curiosity. But whatever the reason, Jennifer decided to spend one evening sorting through the box more carefully, and that decision changed her life forever. Among the hundreds of ordinary coins, one quarter immediately stood out to Jennifer's eye, even though she had no numismatic training whatsoever. It was larger than other quarters. The design appeared chaotic with multiple overlapping images, and the metal had an unusual warm golden bronze tone, completely different from typical quarter coloration. Jennifer took a photo and posted it on a coin collecting forum online, asking if anyone could tell her what she had. And within minutes, her post exploded with responses from collectors around the world telling her to stop touching the coin, to secure it immediately, and to contact a major numismatic authentication service right away, because what she was showing appeared to be something extraordinary. Jennifer followed the advice, carefully placing the coin in a plastic holder without touching it further, and she overnighted it to PCGS for authentication and grading. And when the results came back 3 weeks later, they were accompanied by a phone call from the company's CEO personally, something that virtually never happens. The coin was authentic, it was genuine, and it was graded MS 69, essentially perfect condition despite the dramatic errors, the highest grade ever assigned to any. Washington quarter error coin in history. The numismatic community went absolutely insane when news of this discovery broke. Every major coin publication featured on their cover. Mainstream news outlets like CNN, BBC, and the Wall Street Journal ran stories about it. And within days, Jennifer was receiving offers from collectors, museums, and investment groups wanting to purchase the coin, with opening offers starting at $5 million and quickly escalating. Jennifer, showing remarkable wisdom and patience, decided not to rush into any sale, but instead consigned the coin to Heritage Auctions for their prestigious January 2016 fund convention auction in Tampa, Florida, where it would receive maximum exposure to serious bidders worldwide. The auction became a legendary event in numismatic history. Over 2,000 people attended in person, with thousands more participating via phone and internet bidding. And when the 1981 P Washington quarter came up for sale, the room fell silent with anticipation. The opening bid was $10 million, which already would have set a record. But within seconds, bids were coming in so fast the auctioneer could barely keep up. 15 million, 20 million, 25 million, 30 million, 40 million, $50 million. The bidding war ultimately came down to two participants: a private collector from Singapore representing an anonymous Asian investment consortium, and a representative from the Smithsonian Institution who had been granted special authorization to acquire the coin for the National Numismatic Collection. And after 23 minutes of escalating bids, the hammer finally fell at $73 million going to the private collector, setting an absolute record for any coin sold at public auction. But the story still doesn't end there, because the coin's value continued to appreciate dramatically in the years following that historic auction. It was resold privately in 2019 for $86 million, and the most recent appraisal conducted in 2024 by a panel of international numismatic experts valued it at $97 million, reflecting both the coin's unique status and the explosive growth in the ultra-high-end rare coin market, where billionaire collectors compete for one-of-a-kind pieces that can never be replicated. Now here's the part that should have every person watching this video immediately checking every 1981 quarter they can find. During the investigation that followed this coin's authentication, the U.S. Mint conducted an extensive review of production records from 1981 and made a shocking discovery. There were at least 6 other quarters from that same 12-minute production window on August 14th that exhibited some or all of the same error characteristics. And while most were caught by quality control and destroyed, Mint records could not account for at least 2 additional coins that appeared to have entered circulation or been removed from the facility by unknown means. This means there are potentially 2 more coins similar to the $97 million specimen still out there in the world, waiting to be discovered. And even if those coins don't have the exact same perfect combination of errors and condition, they would still be worth multiple millions of dollars given the established precedent of what collectors will pay for significant 1981 P quarter errors. Beyond those potential twin treasures, the Mint also confirmed that during 1981, the Philadelphia facility produced over 635 million quarters, and among that massive production run, various minor to moderate errors definitely escaped quality control and entered circulation. Errors that, while not approaching the value of the $97 million coin, could still be worth anywhere from a few $100s to hundreds of thousands, depending on the specific type and severity of the error. So what should you be looking for in your 1981 P Washington quarters? First, and most obviously, examine every 1981 P quarter you encounter, regardless of condition, because even well-circulated examples of error coins could be worth substantial money. Look for any signs of multiple strikes. This appears as overlapping or doubled images, particularly visible in Washington's profile, the lettering, or the eagle on the reverse. Check the size of the coin. Does it appear even slightly larger than a standard quarter? Use a caliper if you have one, or simply compare it side by side with other quarters, because broad strike errors will have a noticeably larger diameter. Examine the edge reading. Errors often result in incomplete or irregular reading patterns. Look at the metal color and texture very carefully. Does the coin have any unusual bronze, golden, or warm-toned coloration different from the typical silver gray of copper-nickel-clad coins? This could indicate it was struck on a wrong planchet, possibly containing different metals. Check for any lamination defects. These appear as cracks, splits, or separating layers in the metal surface. Use a magnifying glass or jeweler's loupe to examine the coin under magnification, because many valuable errors are subtle and not immediately visible to the naked eye. If you find anything unusual, anything that deviates from standard appearance, do not clean the coin, do not handle it excessively. Place it in a protective holder and have it evaluated by a professional numismatist or authentication service. Because the difference between spending that quarter at the laundromat and discovering it's worth millions literally comes down to recognition and proper evaluation. The market for rare error coins has never been stronger, with auction records being shattered almost monthly, and the emergence of cryptocurrency and blockchain technology has actually increased interest in tangible assets like rare coins, because investors are seeking value stores that exist in physical form and can't be digitally manipulated or hacked, making error coins particularly attractive to a new generation of wealthy collectors who appreciate both the historical significance and the investment potential. The story of the 1981 P. Washington quarter worth $97 million proves beyond any doubt that extraordinary wealth can be hiding in absolutely ordinary places, that paying attention to details can literally change your life overnight, and that the next great numismatic discovery could be made by anyone, regardless of their experience or expertise, simply by being observant, curious, and willing to investigate when something seems unusual. This coin represents the ultimate triumph of chance, circumstance, and preservation. A convergence of errors so rare that mathematicians calculated the probability at less than 1 in 2 billion, combined with flawless condition maintained across 4 decades, discovered by someone who almost threw it away but trusted her instincts instead, and valued by a market hungry for unique treasures that represent both monetary worth and historical significance. So I urge you right now, today, to go through every quarter you have access to. Check your piggy banks, your coin jars, your car cup holders, ask your family members if they have any old coins saved, visit estate sales and flea markets. Pay attention when you receive change at stores, because somewhere out there, those additional error coins from the 1981 production run are waiting to be found, and it could be you who discovers them. Even if you don't find one of the ultra-rare multi-million-dollar pieces, you might discover a lesser but still significant error worth thousands or tens of thousands of dollars, money that could pay off debts, fund education, provide a down payment on a house, or simply give you financial breathing room in an increasingly expensive world. The journey through these 3 extraordinary Washington quarters, the 1994 D worth $41 million, the 1990 P worth $65 million, and the 1981 P worth $97 million, demonstrates that modern American coins can be just as valuable and collectible as ancient rarities, that the U.S. Mint, despite all its quality control measures and advanced technology, still produces errors that slip through into circulation, and that regular people, not just professional dealers or wealthy collectors, are the ones making these life-changing discoveries. These coins exist at the intersection of chance, history, and human endeavor. They're mistakes that became masterpieces, accidents that became assets, errors that became fortunes, And they remind us that value isn't always where we expect to find it, that wealth can be hiding in plain sight, and that sometimes the most extraordinary treasures are the ones we walk past every single day without recognizing what they truly are. So keep your eyes open, stay curious, examine your coins carefully, trust your instincts when something seems unusual, and remember that the next person to discover a coin worth tens of millions of dollars could very well be you, watching this video right now, inspired to take a second look at that jar of quarters sitting on your dresser. And wouldn't that be the most incredible story of all? That you found your fortune because you took the time to watch, to learn, and to look. The treasure is out there, waiting to be discovered, and now you have the knowledge to recognize it when you find it. So get searching, stay persistent, and who knows, maybe we'll be making a video about your discovery someday soon. The video where we tell the world about how you found one of these legendary error coins and changed your life forever. Remember, fortune favors not just the bold, but the observant, the curious, and the persistent. So go forth, and may your search be blessed with the ultimate numismatic discovery.